Welcome into the Fan Speak Network. I am your host this evening, Justin Bruni, filling in for Meg Shoup. Joining me tonight is the better half of the sibling rivalry. I've got Steve Shoup in the podcast here, ready to go live. How we feeling, sir? How we doing?
Doing well. And even though this is our typical sibling showdown, unfortunately, Meg couldn't make it tonight. Her boxer dog Riggins passed away this week unexpectedly. So it's been a real tough week, but we're going to power through and we're going to have some killer drafts to honor him and have a good night.
Yeah, tough process to go through, yet all of us can relate. I think a lot of us have been there. So shout out to Megan. Sorry to hear for the passing, and you said it was pretty unexpected. So that's even worse. A lot of situations, at least for me, like when my dogs and it's their time to pass on, like there's like kind of like a big lead up to it, like they're going into the process. We're all kind of knowing what's going to happen. So when it's sudden like that, it definitely hits even worse.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, but like you said, it's tough, and unfortunately way too many people understand what it's like. And so, yeah, but thank you for the condolences. And
the show still goes on here at the Fan Speak Network. Still got to dig in. We got a lot of work to do tonight. We're going to be doing a live big board draft. We got the office theme, so we're still going to be having some fun along the way. Chat's rolling along here, so we got all the usual names and faces. We got Steven, we got Hamas, we got Mike, Fantasy Garage Candyman in the chat saying what's up. Appreciate everybody joining in. We are going to jump into a live draft, so keep your fingers on the trigger. We are going to be jumping into a live big board here. Steve, is there any type of news you want to cover before we jump in? I didn't really see anything that flashy.
No, not too much. I mean, there was a story that broke today. Isaiah Bond turned himself in over, some sort of assault case, and then the Tyreek assault yesterday. So those are things that I'd probably avoid drafting them the rest of the way out. We'll get into just some of our thoughts on things as the draft goes on for sure. But those would be.
I saw Terrace Marshall going to the Eagles. Little round 20 correlation there for you.
Yeah,
if that is something. All right, let's get the draft going here. I'm going to get it set up on my phone, and we can dive in. So I'm going to count down from 5. Everybody in the chat, be on the lookout. Let's hope we pull this off correctly because I just have one bullet in the chamber, but I will reload if necessary. All right, here we go. Counting down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm peeking in. Ooh, draft starting soon. Abort. So that's good. At least we'll be nice and fresh. Give me 1 second to hit that old deposit button really quick. And I'll be doing 2 drafts again, which is always fun, which is nice. Always good.
Well, it looks like I got in right after you, so it's 9 more to start. So
so you're in the fresh one. Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if I got caught in the last one or not.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So very good. We do have 8 more to fill, so we are good to go. I'll be doing 2. Always fun, like I said, which is nice. I'll have one up on the screen and one on my phone. Let's see, where did I land in that one? Pick 4. See if anyone else got in there. Who Hames maybe in the one there. I'm not sure who Hames' name, his handle. Best ball in. No, I don't know too many of these names in the other one that I got in. Big old Kittles. Big old kitties. Excuse me. Big old kitties. Still 6 spots left to go in this draft with me and Steve. The Terrace Marshall thing felt very reminiscent of like the who was the other, like Johnny Wilson? Who was the other guy that they brought in from the Commanders?
Aeneas Smith and then Jahan Dotson.
Jen Dotson, yeah. They do like their downtrodden folk. All right, I'm on the board over here, getting some Bijan. Need more Bijan. Justin Jefferson went at 2 in this other draft. Interesting. I've been seeing a little bit more of that. I was talking about that with Andrew, seeing like CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson kind of creeping into the top 3.
Yeah, no, I definitely see Jefferson. Lamb, obviously he was going to, 1 or 2 last year for
Mhm.
most of the year. So, I don't hate it, but I do think, thing with the, Gibbs and Bijan, particularly Bijan, I just think they are the perfect types of backs. I mean, Bijan can do it all. He could have, 12 touchdowns,
Mhm.
60 catches, and an extra 500 yards receiving, so he's tough for me to pass by. In fact, in some ways, I kind of like him equal to Barkley. I mean, obviously, Barkley is in just such a fantastic situation,
Mhm.
and it's particularly if they somehow do some adjustments to the tush push. But either way, I mean, he, even just, um, regression. Like the Eagles had he had so many carries where he got stopped inside the 3-yard line. If just 1 or 2 more, a couple more of those he gets through before they do the tush push,
Mhm.
his points could have been even been higher last year for sure.
Any favor for Bijan just out of the fact, like over Jahmyr Gibbs, that he doesn't have a guy like David Montgomery behind him?
Yeah, that's the reason I like him over Gibbs.
Mhm.
Just for that, basically that sheer reason. I mean, look, Monty, missed 2.5 games last year, and those are 2.5 most important games since it was the playoffs. But if not, leading through like week 14, Monty and Gibbs, they're both top 10 running backs. But if you look at it, they were like 8 and 10. It wasn't like where Gibbs finished. So that probably would have continued. And yeah, right now we're drafting him as RB 2 or 3. So
I had dynasty teams last year where I could just start both of them
for sure.
and just fine. Like I was like one of the
Yeah.
higher scoring teams. I mean, Monty was more of like a flex play. I would, there would be some
Mhm.
situations where I'd have, some other cards to play, but I was doing that consistently. It's just like, well, all right, if it works, it works. Like going into the season, I was kind of worried about it. I really don't like having to rely on this, but it played out pretty well for me. I still finished like at second in that league, but
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
like Bijan a little bit more than Gibbs in that manner, and that's why I was saying I definitely want to get a little bit more of him because the way the ADP's kind of been falling to me is not getting him as much.
yeah, no, I know what you mean. And that's
All right,
like, I feel better about taking like Jefferson and Lamb over Gibbs, but much less on Bijan just for that reason.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I know you're a Bears fan, and Ben Johnson. This is a Ben Johnson stat. Last three years, the Bears finished top 3 in rushing touchdown. Or I'm sorry, the Lions finished top 3 in rushing touchdowns, and that's
I'm,
without a rushing quarterback. Which typically that's what spikes your rushing touchdowns. Bills, Eagles, etc. So yeah, with one of the biggest statues out there in golf, who might get 1 or 2 a year. They've been top 3 in rushing touchdowns simply because of the Monty and Gibbs, particularly these last 2 years. All right, we are starting.
yep, pulling it up here. Finally filled up. That took a minute. Got
Yeah.
Vaporware in there. MSU fan. Nickelback for life. Okay. All right. Who is your daddy? All right. Let's switch to a different. I want this to be a little bit bigger. Or maybe I just need to zoom in some more. Let's do.
Yeah, I know my picture is a little off, a little slow. I might after the first pick, I'm
Mhm.
gonna probably jump out and try and jump back in. Hopefully that will clear things up.
Okay, no worries. Got to refresh that modem. Mike Rob will tell you. Where? Sorry, I'm also still managing this other draft. I went RB heavy. 3 straight. I went Bijan, Irving, Jacobs. Gonna have some fun.
Nice. Jefferson went second in this draft is also.
I'm saying I've been seeing it. I don't know what it is. I mean, he's definitely the guy that's consistently going that early.
Yeah. So I'm going to go Gibbs here. And I'm going to jump out. I'll jump back in as soon as I can.
Okay.
And if you want to pull the board up,
Yeah, I'm going to switch it over now. So when you go out, I'm going to pull this off as well.
Okay, sounds good. Be right back.
Yes, sir. Vaporware on the board. CD Lamb goes 6. Let's get this screen up now. As I make my pick, I'm going to go receiver in this one. We're going Puka at 8. Puka at 8. Top screen. Okay, here we go. MSU fan on the board here. And there we go. Waiting on MSU, about the timeout. 4, 3, 2, 1. Auto pick. Amon-Ra. Okay. Or not. That's not really ADP. Amon-Ra came up the board, so maybe he's just playing with us. Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors, like that Neighbors pick. Love him at this turn. 11 through 14. Nickelback for life on the board. Genty CMC here. What do we think, guys? What do we think, chat? Genty CMC. There's the Genty. Here comes the CMC. Brock Bowers with the Genty. Okay. Interesting. How are we looking now, Steve? Good?
We'll see. Hopefully this is better.
Okay. Nice. Drake London almost fell to me in that other draft when I took Bijan. I was going to grab him. He would have came back to pick 21. Didn't land it. He went at pick 20. So I just, crashed out, as some may say, and just went 3 running backs. This one, we're going to do Lad and Puka. It's going to be so funny once we hit, once we pass the threshold for the schedule, and this ADP through rounds 1 and 2 is just flipped around.
Totally changes, yeah.
Based on weeks 15 and 16, it's going to be wild.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
AJ Brown goes after Lad. Let's see. Already 4 pairs of wide receiver. Does that affect your pick here at pick 20?
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to be taking a running back regardless of who the guy before me takes. And he goes Henry.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll just go a chain. I love Jonathan Taylor here as well, but
yeah,
we saw a chain last year. You look at the games where Tua started, and I do realize Tua is the most injured one of the most injury risk quarterbacks out there. But if you look at the games where Tua started, Chain's numbers were on par with Gibbs. On par with, nobody was at the Barkley level, but he was on par with just about anyone else. So, that is obviously promising. Hopefully, Tua is starting at least through the playoffs. So yeah, I do like a chain a lot. But yeah, Jonathan Taylor to chain, those go nice. And we've talked about this before, where that kind of feels like the cutoff. Once you get to Jonathan Taylor, AJ Brown, whatever the ADP actually is, but then the rest of the second round kind of feels like you're taking 3rd round picks and pulling them up, like a guy like McBride or Tyreek, who particularly anything. So yeah, I kind of don't deviate too much from those top 20-ish guys. But then when I have those last couple picks, I'll pull up a DJ Moore or somebody like that.
I pull up DJ Moore to this. What is that? Pick 24, 25 pretty often.
Yeah.
What do you think of from the one spot? What do you think of either combos to start? Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, DJ Moore, or Jamar Chase, DJ Moore, Trey McBride?
Wow, that's exactly what they did. It is Higgins and Moore.
I like
that a lot. I like that a lot. I don't mind if I'm getting McBride there. I do think he ends up going a little earlier. I think you're the opposite, but I'm a little bit more bullish on. I know you're paying a little higher, but a little bit more bullish on Bowers than McBride, just because, I think because Neighbors and McConkey and everyone else was so good and Brian Thomas was so good, people knock Marvin Harrison as just this terrible rookie, but he had 800 plus yards.
He's still good. No, he was still good. There was no reliability. There was no rhyme or reason.
Exactly. But it's like most receivers we see second year breakouts. So I just think he's poised for that. Quarterback situation's the same, offense coordinating situation's the same, where Bowers Probably has an upgrade at the offense coordinator situation, definite upgrade at quarterback. And, first like 4-6 weeks or whatever, and Adams missed a game or two, but he had Devontae Adams fighting for targets. That Ravens game that they won, Devontae Adams had like 14 targets in that game. So even if the Raiders draft a receiver early, I don't think it's going to be the same thing. And where McBride, I could see his targets come down, not drastically, but if he gets 20 less targets because they're going to Harrison, I'm not going to be shocked.
Yeah, for me, I'm just not paying for round 1, round 2 tight ends very often. I have 0 shares of Bauer so far, and I have 1 share of Trey McBride.
Yeah. So, I don't like paying for it a lot. I'm
and being mindful, I'm only doing 30 drafts. Like that's where I'm going to cap out.
Gotcha.
So I mean, to me, my exposures are going to be to the Fergusons, the Ingrams. You're going to sprinkle in a lot of those mid-round guys. I have I think 3 shares of George Kittle, so I like George Kittle's ADP. Like Sam Laporta's ADP, these are still really good options that have top 5 potential at the position. I mean, I know that sometimes, he who wears the crown at tight end is kind of a big separator, like putting up much larger production. But there's also, again, kind of like an outdoor opportunity for any of these guys to land in that spot because it's really reliable on touchdowns at most.
Exactly. And Kittle, we saw last year, he missed like 2-3 games, and his numbers were very similar to what Bowers and McBride did. So, his points per game were higher, I believe. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think Kittle is a much better value in the 5th round than those are in the 2nd or early 3rd.
I think McLaurin's gonna get the Daniels fall. What do we think here? Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna block it?
I mean,
getting McLaurin and Daniels 3-4 is not very common.
No.
Yeah, there he goes. No. Yep, speaking into existence, and there it goes. Yeah, I mean, no correlation there. I mean, he could definitely come back around with maybe like a Debo or I don't know if you want to do like late round Eckler or mid round Brian Robinson.
Yeah, and Ertz is a good option. I mean, obviously, we know Andrew would be taking Ertz. But yeah, and the thing is, with the rushing quarterbacks, the stacking is not nearly as valuable as it is with your pocket pat. Like Burrow, you need to stack much more so than Daniels. Like Daniels was one of the best Week 17 guys, and Ertz got there, but McLaurin did absolutely nothing. And and it's just that's the way it is sometimes with these rushing quarterbacks.
Yeah, McLaurin, I mean, still had a career.
Oh, he had a great year, but I mean, for that Week 17 like monster stack correlation just wasn't there. For the year, they were a great stacking partner.
Joe Burrow, Chuba goes at the turn there. Not really hitting quarterbacks hard here. We're getting some falls.
No, and we'll see what these next 2 guys do. But that's actually why I decided I was debating between a couple guys. That's why I went with Devonta Smith in case Hurts comes back. And I got him. So
love it.
So that was like the tiebreaker for me because I actually kind of like Rome better. And I even considered Hampton for like a 3 RB build because I just love Amari and Hampton. But yeah,
what's your best comp for Amari and Hampton?
So he's a little bigger. So he reminds me some of like prime Todd Gurley.
Okay.
And I've also heard the prime David Johnson comp.
Nice.
And I think those are both very fair. And, he's not as, say, dynamic in the passing game as a few other guys, but he's good in the passing game. He's a really good runner. He's big enough to handle the goal line short yardage workload. So he can kind of do it all. He's definitely not on that Saquon Barkley level. But his upside is, and David Johnson's probably the most fair comp because he was at his best when he just got all the usage to go along with it. It's not always a given. He was a 3rd round pick.
A lot of passing work.
Yeah. So no, I just think Hampton, I think he's definitely a lock for the 1st round at this point. And, Broncos would be a fantastic spot for him. Steelers, I saw the Steelers met with him. He would do very well there. And I could also see, like honestly, the Chiefs at 31. I know they brought in Mitchell for a couple million and Hunt for a couple million, but those are not guys that are preventing them from doing anything big. And as we saw last year, a lot of these playoff teams, the best way they improve their team was by investing in the running back position. And even going back to the Lions 2 years prior, they had Jamal Williams, led the league in touchdowns, had DeAndre Swift, former high draft pick. And they said, no, we're going to upgrade by paying David Montgomery, and we're going to draft Gibbs in the first round. And then, last year, a lot of teams followed up on that. And, it's really paying off because it's just a far cheaper way. You look at what like Henry and Barkley get versus these receivers, and it's no question the impact.
It really makes it like the early first round pick, like out of a Jahmyr Gibbs, worth it, right?
Yeah,
like because you're getting more leverage in your cap space, and you're leveraging, a player really in their prime. A running back is going to be in their prime, their first handful of seasons, unless they're one of the anomalies that we are also seeing come to age of like Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. I mean, I don't think James Conner's in that, in that range, in that tier. But you look at the body of work that he's had as just like a football player at the running back position at his age, I think is more impressive than people will give him credit for.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like there, a lot of people, and I do as well, compare this running back class to the 2017 running back class. And look, it's still going. I mean, CMC, Connor, Aaron Jones, Joe Mixon, all from that class, all still strong. Kamara, guy was a top 10 back and missed 3.5 games last year. So yeah, these guys are going strong and still producing for sure.
Let's see. So I took Ken Walker. They were getting a run of running backs. They really sat for a minute there, especially through round 5. Chuba Hubbard and Travian Henderson bookending a combination of receivers, George Kittle and Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I almost continued the streak of running back, but I went with Calvin Ridley here. I just think he is, he's going to be the guy in Tennessee. I'm sure they're going to add somebody in, second round. They don't have a third rounder right now. Could see him trading back, obviously, but I think that they are, Ridley is going to be Cam Ward's guy.
I hope that's the case. I've drafted a lot of Ridley. Drafted a lot of, I think, $80. So out of 26 drafts, this is draft 27, 28 tonight for me.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of Ridley in this area because, I've talked about it a little with Meg and some and on a few other shows, but Ridley had roughly the same production as Zay Flowers. And that was just a situation, Zay Flowers' quarterback situation isn't getting any better. Where Ridley's situation can honestly only get better. So,
nothing to do but go up there that's for sure.
Yeah. So yeah,
I do expect there to be competition for Ridley though in the draft. I mean, it doesn't sound like the competition is going to be stiff, but there's definitely going to be a couple of rookies drafted at receiver. I think they're going to. They say waivers, so to me that just sounds like people that are expensive and they get cut. I hope it's not Tyler Lockett. I hope that's not the case.
Yeah. We'll see. I think they'll shoot for a little. I do think in the second round, and some people connected Kyle Williams, who's with Cam Ward at Washington State 2 years ago, could be an option. I think that's a little rich for Kyle Williams, just it's so high, but maybe this is a situation where the Titans trade back in the second round and, to the mid second round and get a guy like Kyle Williams there and then pick up like a late third or something like that.
What do you think about, was it Trey Harris and Jackson Dart getting paired up somewhere?
Yeah. I mean, I've been very bullish on Trey Harris. The Ole Miss offense, and this is the issue that Dart's going to have to face is, it's just not the most NFL friendly, but I do think he's got Jackson Dart has the tools, but I really like Harris. I think there's a lot of shades of DK Metcalf there. Obviously, Ole Miss connection as well. And just I think he can be a true X, and he just I love the way he just grabs snatches the ball. I mean, if it's a contested catch, he's come down with it, and he's got speed. His route running for what he's been asked to do has been good. He just needs to do more of it. And yeah, I mean, if you're a team who needs a young quarterback, needs a big receiver, that's a great pairing to have.
Got a run of receivers here. 7 and 8. Ayuk, Burden, Golden, Downs, Cup, bookended by Aaron Jones.
Yeah, interesting to see what to do with Aaron Jones now. I mean, look, he had a really good year last year, but the coaching, coach speak of Mason kind of being more of the goal line guy is interesting because they didn't really do that late in the year. They kind of did, and that was when Jones was a little banged up. So it'll be interesting to see if they still plan on doing that, and just how that works.
Aaron Jones, Tony Pollard. I'm on the clock. I'm going to be taking CJ Stroud, but I'm on the clock in this other draft, so I need to skip to my Lou. Let's do, here we go. All right, so let's see. Oh, it took Jalen Warren for me. Different draft. All right, so I've got Puka, Lad McConkey, Kyron Williams, Jamison Williams, Cortland Sutton, Ken Walker, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren. Who are you working with, Steve?
Yeah, I decided I really debated, and I went with Kyler. I don't usually take two quarterbacks this high, but I got them. I got the stack already, and we'll probably stop at two. Maybe I'll go three if there's a late value or something like that. But there was some nice, again, coach speak or whatever of Kyler might be running more. So that's obviously a potential plus because early in his year when he had some of those like top 3, top 4 finishes, he was running and he had 10 touchdowns one year, I believe. So, if they get back to that would be nice for sure.
It's not like there's any Trey McBride touchdowns to steal or anything.
Yeah, they just need to be more efficient as an offense, especially when they get into inside the 20, but even inside like the 30. Like they start out a number of drives. As for Hartman's question, how I'm viewing Cup, I'm taking him. I wish his ADP was a little lower.
Well, it was. You just had to buy into it when it was cheaper.
Yeah. I like the guys in this draft, like Diggs, Kirk, Mooney. I like those. Shaheed. I like all of them over Cup. So it's tough for me to take him before those guys, and he doesn't really fall past those guys. So it's just tough. I think his ADP is a little overpriced right now. So I've taken him some. I'm not very highly exposed to him.
I have a lot of Diggs Cup teams just based off of like early RB builds.
Yeah.
Those are to me like really good pairings still because they still have some week to week upside, and where you were getting them, pre moves, pre Diggs to New England and pre Cup to Seattle, you were getting some pretty good value in those guys.
Yeah, I agree. No, they the rise has been particularly on. Diggs. I get the rise a lot because he could clearly be the one, the wide receiver one there with a good young quarterback, and Josh McDaniels. That offense has at times been really good, but yeah. So as for Steven's question about Ayuk, I've taken him a little, very little. But it's not something I feel safe with, and it's something I almost guarantee I'm going to be doing 9 receivers in an Ayuk team because there's some speak out there, and look, we're so far away, we don't know for sure, but that he might not be ready until like mid-year. Even if that's not the case, we just see a lot of receivers come back slow from these types of big injuries. Even with the more positive news about Rice being back in time for camp and all that, and you still have to dodge the suspension. And like again, I pumped the brakes on all these things because we all recall
but there's still a big difference in their ADP based off of perception, because last year we saw Rice for a little bit and he was awesome, right?
Yeah.
And we saw Ayuk, he was kind of a turd. Yeah, he
Yeah.
just wasn't very good. So I think that reflection and the difference in their ADP is still inadequate. I'm willing to take a risk on a Brandon Ayuk as, wide receiver 5 through 8 drafted. You get him in a deeper group of receivers and you just stash him into a stack, because he's not going anywhere. He just got paid his bonus. So they just paid him like $20 million plus. He'll play this year. You're going to have to kind of be patient and just, ride the wave until you have like a clear idea of when he's going to be back. I've seen everything from week 1 to week like 6. So that's what I'm seeing. But most of the news I've seen is good. And I think honestly, like I even see the chat saying, "Oh, I'm not touching it. He's dead." Is like, guys, like that's a situation where I'm going left where everyone's going right. The sense may not make it, or be there right now, but I'm definitely going to eat up the value for sure.
Yeah, I think like for me, I will take more as we get closer. And sure, as ADP might rise a round or two, but same with Rice. It's not like these guys. It's not like it'll be like Diggs where he was going in the 140s and now he's going at 90 or 80. Right. Like he might rise to, Ayuk might rise to 35. Rice might rise to 30. Because keep in mind, like, Worthy was just getting his feet under him. Marquise Brown was not there for Rice. And Ayuk, same kind of thing. Like, yes, Debo's gone, but Jennings showed that he can step up. And Parasol, missed the early part of the season last year because of the gunshot and everything. And then he was a rookie himself. So, those guys are going to get theirs. And there's no McCaffrey, so I don't hate them. It's just like, I will probably want to see a little bit more data on how, just how much we can trust them.
You like Keenan Allen there at all?
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing with this pick. I haven't taken him a ton. I'm going to go Pittman.
I was very close between Pittman and Shaheed, but I definitely need more Shaheed.
Yeah. With Pittman, he's a guy who's actually fallen a little bit. And in fact, he's fallen past below downs. That wasn't the case when this opened. And so now I don't mind taking him here. And again, situation like I would not be taking him ahead of Shaheed, ahead of Mooney, those types of guys. But here, versus like a Marvin Mims, Bateman, Ken Coleman, Hollywood, I'm fine in this range. Fortunately, I tried to push Scatterboo. I did not get Scatterboo. That's unfortunate.
It's against your house sigil.
I know. I don't know how I'll be able to face Meg.
What do you think about Coleman versus that group there? Like Kincaid, Palmer, Shakir. How do you think that's shaking up this year? I'm also inclined that they're going to draft somebody. Like I would love a Jaden Higgins landing spot in Buffalo. I could easily see it.
Yeah. So that's part of the issue is all these guys are very similar. All kind of, and Curtis Samuel's still there. They pay him significant money, and they all just work better in the slot. And it's tough. It's really tough. I am going to go. I do not like this area either.
Mix of suspicion likes Coleman here. I know that both of them
go double tight end or two kind of early tight ends and Warren and Njoku, and maybe only stop there. It gives me the optionality. I don't mind Coleman having a better year. He didn't get enough targets, but he had some big plays. He had like multiple deep catches. He had 4 or 5 touchdowns. Missed some time. And look, rookies rookies take some time. I just think it's tough because they all operate kind of best out of the slot. I mean, Palmer can play outside and is okay vertically. I actually think Kincaid, I know he was fool's gold last year, but I could see him. I know, the thing he was banged up with quite a bit. I could see him being more involved this year and more featured. I think the Bills will pass more. just because look, their running threat is now established and legitimate. And so I could see guys just need to get open. We'll see if any of these guys do, but if so, we know Allen can throw for 4,000 yards. We know that's in his wheelhouse. He's got one of the best arms in the league.
Yeah, he's got a cannon. They just wouldn't let him off the leash last year.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it was they didn't trust the receiving core, between young guys or guys playing out of position or getting Amari Cooper in and he himself got banged up. It's just, nobody. I mean, Shakir was obviously the best of the bunch. Nobody stayed fully healthy and nobody just kind of grabbed the reins of being the leader in the passing game.
Yeah. Hartman saying also pretty young. Yeah. I mean, I didn't think he looked bad. It's just that there was also no rhyme or reason to that group. I mean, Mac Hollins led the receivers across the season, total snaps.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's not.
And some of that was Hollins is such a good blocker and stuff like that. But it's like,
but when he came to the Bills, he was coming in as the league's best receiver for blocking PFF.
Yeah.
I was going to take Trey Harris there, but instead I'm just going to pull up Ferguson and get the stack. Ouch.
Yeah, these mid rounds have not gone how I expected them, that's for sure.
Well, we do have folks actually watching what we're doing. It is
a little
on the whole stream.
That is true.
There's a reason why Pete stopped doing all 150 for the BBM. Okay, I'm going to back up a little bit.
Ooh, I was going to take Keon Coleman there if he stayed. I think I need to pull up a running back. So I don't love it, but I'm going to pull up Jerome Ford.
I still just think he has a role there. I mean, I don't think they drafted multiple guys for anything, but I could definitely see them being purposeful about, a Cam Scatterbo, bringing Peyton Hillis home, if you will.
Exactly.
I could see them doing something like that. I mean, the T-shirts would sell themselves, and that's what Cleveland is. They need cash. No,
I think whoever they get, and they could go with a Ohio guy like Ohio State, Quinshon Junkins.
There you go.
And in the second round, and but still, like you said, Ford's going to have a role. I think at worst he's the number 2, and so it's like a potentially a couple round discount on like the.
I think even with whatever rookie they draft, it's a split backfield.
Yeah,
I mean, you're drafting a split back. It's a poor man's Jalen Warren. Well,
I was just going to say
Jalen Warren from last year because we don't know about this year.
Yeah,
I don't want to hurt his feelings. I know he's going to watch this in the morning.
But I do think Steelers are likely drafting one, and it's going to be the same sort of thing. And same with like Zach Charbonnet and some of these other guys. Like I think it's a poor man's version of that, and I'm fine with that. A couple round discount.
Absolutely. Took Jalen Knoll there. Oh, sorry, other draft. My bad. I'm monologuing.
So let's see. I don't know what I want this pick. Don't love the receivers in this range, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it peeped my pick there.
I'm going to go another back. I didn't love this, but I'm going to go Garendo. 49ers will probably draft a running back. They pretty much do every year.
Yeah.
But I mean, Garendo, I think Garendo showed enough. I think there's a reason why they let Mitchell walk and why they trade Mason was they feel comfortable enough with Garendo.
Right. No, that is a good sign because I would have figured that him and Mason would have just butted heads.
Yeah. No, but honestly, and that's one where sure, like again, you could have gotten Mason rounds later. I took him once or twice. And same with Garendo. I mean, he's moved up since the trade, but I was just definitely paralyzed because so I took each a couple. At the time of the trade, I maybe had like 4% of each, if that. But it's now I feel much better about making that pick, and I can at least understand the role, particularly for Mason, but even for Garendo.
Love it. Man, I might have to go 4 tight ends here. I might have to break some rules tonight. I'm only sitting there with Ferguson.
So you've Dak and Stafford. Those are your only 2 quarterbacks, right?
No, I have Stafford, Dak, and Goff.
Oh,
they're all
that's right.
stacked. I have Goff with
Yeah.
JMO,
Yeah.
Dak with Fergie, and then Stafford with Kyron and Puka.
Yeah. No, I like that. It's a good room.
There's no rushing upside available, but
No rushing upside.
definitely some 4 touchdown weeks available on a given
Exactly.
week.
Exactly. And Stafford's weird because one, he
It
had
is weird. He didn't really give me a ton of like confidence quarterback wise, and then there's talk about like he's going to hit the market and make all this money. I was like, what?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
wild.
it's weird because early in the year, Puka went down week 1 and then Cup week 2, and so then Stafford had 1 or 2 usable games in that kind of stretch. But then when those guys came back, he had some big games, some really nice games. And then at the end, when they're both back, they're healthy, everyone's healthy, and the offensive line is finally healthy because they had at one point they were missing like 4 starters on the offensive line. And then like the last 3 weeks, they didn't throw at all. It was so weird. But look, I think we know it's in his wheelhouse, and I do think Adams is an upgrade over Cup. So yeah, I'm willing to go back to the well.
Well, Adams, I mean, he feels like he's fit enough to handle the workload that Cooper Kupp is supposed to have, but he like it appears that he can't handle.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it just looks like it's too much for him at times. I'm hoping that they just keep it light for him with Seattle. They're just peppering him with the old man touches. Just hit him in the hands, 5 yards and in, and let him do what he does.
Yeah,
because if healthy, I mean, he's a very smart route runner. I think he can still get back to having the speed and agility to be like a low yardage earner, right? Like a first and second down type of guy, short yardage type of receiver.
Yeah, no, I mean, when part of it was they just didn't need to rely on Cup. When they did, week 1 when Puka got hurt, the other game where Puka got thrown out, Cup dominated. But then, it just became the Puka show. So I think he's still capable. It's just, he's a clear number 2 now. Boy, I don't really love the receivers here. Just going to take another running back. I feel like
I was considering Neal if I didn't go with the tight end, but I was too thirsty just having Ferguson.
Yeah.
I needed a little bit more.
And this is an area with, I love these tight ends coming up, but I invested a lot in tight end, probably just going with the 2. So
yeah, no, I mean your 2 are pretty good.
Yeah, I because normally I would have pulled up like a, Strange or Komet or Otten, but
love me some Brenton Strange. Love me some Brenton Strange. Wish Kate Otten could be a thing. There's just so much talent on that roster, though. Like it's those 3 receivers. Irving. I still like Rachaad White a lot. I think he's talented. He's just not meant to be a true one. And that's why Irving was drafted and got the usage that he did down the stretch. But still think he's really good and definitely somebody that, when given, those like 12 to 15 touches, he can really make a lot out of them. Just not a guy that should be having 20 to 25 a game. That's for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Let's see. Gonna go back to the receiver well here. Mainly from an ownership standpoint, I will take a shot on Josh Palmer.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say like Alec Pierce is still a really good pick with the year that he's coming off of.
Yeah.
The change up to Jones is concerning, but I feel like Alec Pierce has kind of just had spike weeks regardless of who's there. They just use him as a deep threat, and whenever they can land one, he's the guy that's doing it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, obviously Anthony Richardson, the one good thing that he did, I mean, he had some rushing ability, but the one good thing that he did was throw a good deep ball. But so many other of his drives would just stall out. So even if Jones isn't as good of a deep ball thrower, he's got a good enough arm. They'll be more efficient. I mean, Anthony Richardson only completed 50% of his passes. Like, you just can't have an offense.
We were taking his unders of like completions at like 14.
Oh, I know. It
was ridiculous. It was. I mean, stealing money, but just like, really, man, you're in the NFL. Like,
yeah. And no, normally I like Pierce over Palmer. Even though Palmer's obviously attached to the better quarterback and offense, but I just have way more Pierce, so I thought I'd mix it up.
Yeah, fair enough there. And yeah, Palmer's still in a really good offense, but just the consistency, I don't feel like we're going to get it there from anybody. Like, Shakir gives you a nice baseline, but he can easily put up a duck,
Yeah.
any week.
Yeah, I think Shakir, like you said, is a good floor guy. Probably not going to have a ton of spike weeks, especially those like monster, like 25, 30-point spike weeks.
He's not that guy.
I think Coleman and Palmer are going to have limited of those, but they'll have them. They'll have that like random 2-touchdown game or 130 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, no consistency level to them.
Just not a place you're going to find it.
Yeah, this is not been a good area for me. I will say, as much as I think Washington is drafting a running back, I've been taking Eckler some. I just think he is kind of similar to Ford, a little bit more safer in his role, regardless of who they take. And look, they might, because they did trade away picks for guys like Tunsil and Debo, et cetera, like they don't have as many draft picks, so maybe they don't end up with a running back. But yeah, I don't mind Eckler in these rounds.
He signed a 2-year contract. I expect him to play it out. So didn't put on too many miles last year. Still was hurt a little bit, but when he came back, he was perfectly fine.
Yeah. And in fact, down the stretch, even though he was the one, I mean, both him and Robinson missed some time, but he had multiple concussions, but he was the one, his role was much safer down the stretch. Jeremy McNichols was eating into Robinson's role.
Do you see what the one spot has done, by the way? It's like they're like 1-3-10-1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little too much receiver for me. I mean, I do know they took a break after the Higgins Moore, but I don't mind if you end up getting 10, but a couple of those should be like 19th, 20th round type guys, I feel like.
Hey, he took a quarterback. Brilliant. I mean, that's fine. Do your thing. Number 1, Indy Colts 99. No service to the black badge, I'll tell you that.
It's definitely an interest. I think running back, look, he needs a couple more guys, but at least he's got like starters and a guy like Mason. I would worry, and there's still some tight ends, though it's gotten pretty thin, but Andrews is not a tight end I want to solely rely on.
Let's see. Well, I mean, he's still kind of in the consideration of great and then taking someone late. But yeah, him and then Harold Fannin Jr. is the biggest boat of confidence, I would say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm gonna go. Just gonna take a shot on De'Ami Brown. I'm not huge on De'Ami, but I'm gonna do at least 9 receivers, so I feel a little better about taking him in this kind of build.
The other draft I'm in round, I think 18 or 19, and I just did Gabe Davis.
Yeah, I actually like Gabe Davis more. One, it's a couple of rounds later, and we've seen more consistency of him being a good deep threat receiver. Even last year, he had, before he got injured, he had at least 1, if not 2, usable games. De'Ami Brown had a couple games down the stretch, but a lot of that was with Noah Brown injured and some other.
Well, especially in the playoffs too. You're just seeing how he ended the year. You can see why someone would be like, yeah, it's worth scooping him up before the draft.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised he got the 10 plus million in free agency. I know it was only a 1-year deal, but still.
I don't know how much of it's guaranteed or anything.
I think at least enough. I mean, it's 1 year, so if he's playing, he's getting it, unless he is so bad in camp he gets cut. I think over half was guaranteed. Yeah, this is, and some of it is, I think people are just kind of getting their guys. I saw the comment, New Jacksonville GM loves De'Ami Brown. Yeah. No, I mean, I saw some positive things with that.
As long as Cohen likes him.
Yeah, I think Cohen and Lawrence needs to trust him. So
it's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't mind taking him. It's just I feel he should be like there's so many receivers down here in 19th, 20th rounds. You know, Trey Tuckers, the Brandon Cooks. Like, what makes De'Ami Brown better than 2 rounds better than that?
That's you're splitting hairs there.
Yeah, like Tutu Atwell.
Amari Cooper to the Titans in waivers. No, I'm just kidding. He's free agent. Unless he gets cut. Is there any of these like late round rookies that we're drafting? Like say like Taj Brooks. I know you brought him up. Like do you think that he gets drafted? I mean, there was a lot of guys like Sean Tucker like going in like later rounds like this, didn't get drafted in the NFL draft and then signed later. Are there any of these guys back here that concern you about that might get relegated to like round 20, like if Ollie Gordon didn't get drafted and he was just signed post draft?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a couple. Let me make a pick here. I mean, I'm actually going to Raheem Mostert.
Okay. Yeah, I've done that a few times here when it gets really thin.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but
I don't think it's anyone's favorite.
But so Taj Brooks, I think, is a little safer. I think he's 4th or 5th round NFL draft. I mean, could follow with 6th, but it is a deep running back class, and typically we see like 17 to 20 running backs taken. I think this year there could easily be 25 running backs drafted. Of the guys who are getting, some draft love. Honestly, one of the guys, I believe he's already gone, Jaden Blue. He is very dynamic in the passing game, but he never was a starter at Texas. Even when Jonathan Brooks went down, he could not take the starting role there. And he fumbles a ton. He has more fumbles over his college career than Ashton Genty does. And Ashton Genty had about 800 more touches than he did. And so, it's just that kind of thing will keep you off some teams' boards. And he's a good receiver. Don't get me wrong. If he can catch the ball in space, he can be lightning with the football in his hands, but he doesn't have great vision. So I just think he is going to be tough. There could be a team who drafts him just solely on his speed, but it wouldn't shock me if he's, especially in such a deep class. I mean, some of these other guys, like Quentin Allen's a similar guy. He was an early declare, only 20 years old. So to me, he's a project guy. Even if he does get like 6th round draft capital, 5th round draft capital, he might just be a guy that teams are stashing. Let's see who I'm going to take.
What about we'll let you take your pick, like guys like Jarquez Hunter or what's another late round one that everyone loves? Let me take a look here. There's just some like your boy Taj Brooks. I've seen him actually. Like, are those guys going to get drafted, or are they just going to land somewhere?
I do think Taj Brooks gets drafted because he's the type of guy who, and typically when you get to like day 3 of the drafts, that's where coaches can get even more involved, particularly like position coaches. And I think a running back coach is going to look at him. He never left the field at Texas Tech. He does everything. He pass blocks. He catches the ball well. He's just a smart runner. And his athleticism was better than people even gave him credit for. So he's the type of guy who, if coaching staffs met with him, saw him, they're going to love him because, he might not be your starter, particularly year 1, but he's just going to do everything for you. And he can fill either the passing role. He can fill the between the tackles role. I've compared him, comped him all year to Kyron Williams. I think coaches will kind of see him the same way because that was Kyron's calling card. Kyron's not the biggest. He's not the fastest, but he does everything. He does it well enough. And when he got a shot at the NFL, he took the job. And Sean McVay loves him. So I feel pretty confident Boyd gets drafted in like that 5th round range. But or Brooks, I'm sorry. So what are you doing with? So you just took Conklin. Yeah, I like that pick.
I had a little friendship there. I don't know. I'm flirting back and forth between like Tutu Atwell and Gabe Davis again.
Yeah.
I've taken enough Nick Chubb already. Like it's kind of been fun. But I would like a little bit more clarity before I continue on with him. I still think he's going to land somewhere right after the draft. Just think that's how it's going to go. But I'm thinking, did someone just take Tutu? Oh my goodness. Come on now. Who's your daddy? Unreal. I had, Puka and Stafford and Kyron, so I just thought that would have been a nice way to bring it home. Apparently, Who's Your Daddy 420 also reads the news.
Yeah, no, I mean, Tutu was a guy I was considering. Like I said, there's just this whole stretch of receivers like Tucker, Cooks, Tutu, Mike Williams, a guy that I know you're a big fan of, MVS, and I like him as well. They're like the same guy to me, and
no, I agree.
Spike kind of third target on
your boy Taj Brooks here. I don't have any Taj Brooks. You did a good job selling me.
Thank you.
And we'll go with 3-6-8-3.
Yeah, I'm debating here. I could go with the 7th running back. But I'm okay. I feel okay. I don't really feel like I need a 10th receiver.
Wow.
2 tight ends.
I didn't realize all of my receivers were like huge fallers. I mean, Cortland Sutton fell 4. That's not crazy, but Sheed was 10. Pierce was like 14.
I'm gonna go Daniel Jones. I have Pittman. And well, I spent a lot on Hurts and Kyler
goes right after. I mean, both are pretty fine.
Yeah. Well, and the other thought is, look, I mean, as much as I love Hurts, he has missed some of the most important weeks to these last 3 years. And Kyler has obviously dealt with plenty of injuries. That is the one downside with these rushing quarterbacks, is many of them get a little bit more banged up. And sure, we don't always know if it'll be in the fantasy playoffs or not, but even if it's a couple games early in the year, I'd like having some extra depth.
Right. This is, Steve, I'm looking at my ADPs here. This is really weird. I mean, I took Ferguson pretty well ahead, like 12, like, what is that? No, not even 12. It's 9 spots ahead of ADP. But like, I got Dallas Goedert at pick 161. His ADP is 146. Amari Cooper fell 192 to 209. Pierce fell 14. I think that guy in the 1 spot was just like really playing with the board here.
Yeah.
Because even after Sutton, all my last 4 receivers, Shaheed 10 picks after, Pierce 14, like I said, Jalen Royals 6, which is actually not that bad at that ADP for a rookie. Amari Cooper was at 9 + 8, 17 spots. Like, wow.
Yeah, no, that is nice, and there have been definitely some interesting fallers.
Javonte fell 32 spots. 32. That's a lot. I mean, I'm not in love with Javonte Williams, but he's the Jerome Ford of Dallas.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I do think there was a time there where people thought he would be the clear starter, but a lot of buzz has been the Cowboys are valuing a running back high, probably not in the first round, but second round is very live. But yeah, no, I mean that's where he should be going, honestly, in like the 160s, 170s. So I'm not going to take him in the 140s, but yeah, when you, like you said, when you get him 30 plus picks past ADP. Okay.
I didn't even realize it. I was just like, well, I got Dak, I got Ferguson. We'll get some, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go through. Let's see. Where's your team? Let's go to your team first. If there's anyone in the chat that was ahead of Steve, let me know and I'll get back to you. Let's see. You picked from what, the 5 spot?
Yeah.
So Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Dan Jones, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Achane, Jerome Ford, Garendo, Neil Mostert, Marvin Harrison, Devonta Smith, Calvin Ridley, Egbuka, Pittman, Palmer, Kyle Williams, De'Ami Brown, Trey Tucker, and then going Tyler Warren and Njoku. I like it, especially with the Kyler and the Jalen Hurts. You got guys that can pass for touchdowns, run for touchdowns. It's always a nice combination to have at their value. Running backs, I like up top. Overall, like receivers, it's better than the one you did with us a couple weeks ago. 8.2.
Well, thank you. Yeah. No, overall, I was happy with it. I was hoping to get a little better third running back. I typically like a guy I feel more of a starting caliber. But I'm okay with the running back room as it is, and Gibbs in a chain can do a lot of damage. That's for sure.
Love it. We got Vaporware in the chat saying he took Richardson at 186. That is a big fall. 20 picks. You like to see it when you're getting it. We got 3773 Lamar, Mayfield, Richardson, Monty, Charbonnet, Bigsby, Spears, White, Martinez, Mitchell, Collins, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin doubling up there. Got the Baker stack with that as well. Travis Hunter ahead of ADP. Rashad Bateman, DeAndre Hopkins, some Baltimore connections there as well with Lamar. Really faded tight end though. Colston Loveland, Tavian Sanders, and Chig. I don't know if you have those guys stacked at all.
No.
I think I would have preferred for you to take a tight end over Richardson, but I get it. That's a really good fall. Does he have any stacks with the Colts? Yeah, I mean you're shooting for a couple of 20-point weeks out of A Rich.
Well, there is a real chance Loveland gets drafted by the Colts, so maybe he looks into stack
you had something there, yeah. I would say 7.5. Still really like it, but I think I would have liked one more running back ahead of Monty and one more tight end instead of a third QB on a Mayfield and Jackson build, because that's beautiful. The stacks that you got with Baker, Godwin and Evans, and then getting the late round guys with Jackson, I think is just beautiful. Getting, Hopkins and Bateman that are going to have roles this year. That's, those are slam dunk picks. Probably would have preferred a tight end for Rich and just one more RB ahead of Monty.
Yeah, no, I mean it's you're going to get a ton of points from quarterback and receiver. Running back, you're going to probably need a little luck, but we'll see. I mean, maybe Bigsby, maybe Spears, White, etc. Damian Martinez will probably have a decent landing spot. But tight end, I'm actually pretty bullish on Loveland. I think he goes in top 15, at worst top 20 picks in the draft.
Really?
And it sounds like people really like him. He's kind of a young Travis Kelce.
But you say that Tyler Warren goes ahead of him still, right?
I do. I think
Tyler Warren, it's got to be the Jets, right?
Yeah, I think Warren to the Jets makes a lot of sense. Saints would be another one early.
Okay.
And then
there's not that many picks after that though for.
Well, Colts then would probably pivot to Loveland.
Okay.
That's kind of how I see it. And also, we talked about it on when you guys did a tight end show a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Rams are a team who could just be primed to come up. If Loveland starts falling, that's a tight end that Sean McVay is going to like. So
interesting. All
right,
let's ride Vaporware. We got 3683. I've got Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Stafford, Kyron Williams, Ken Walker, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren, Javonte Williams, Taj Brooks, Puka Nacua, Lad McConkey, Jamison Williams, Sutton, Shaheed, Pierce, Royals, and Amari Cooper, Jake Fergie, Dallas Goedert, Tyler Conklin. I like this one. I'm pretty stacked up here.
Yeah, no, I think I really like the stacks. And, as we talked about, you don't have like a lot of rushing equity with your quarterbacks, but it doesn't matter. You got guys who can throw for 303 pretty easily. Should be 3 of the top, 12 offenses at worst, maybe 3 top 10 offenses. The Kyron, Kenneth Walker, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren, that's really solid. Then the value you get at Williams and Taj rounding it out. Receivers, I think, are very strong to start. I'm so bullish on Sutton. Again, Denver offense, they were so good last year.
It's going to get better.
Yeah, exactly. We as we talked through the draft, Pierce is great. Late round guy, Rashid the guy.
That Sutton had scored a touchdown in every other game for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I mean he's one of the best red zone receivers out there. And I like that receiver room and strong tight end room as well. I mean, Ferguson and Goddard. I mean, we don't know where Goddard will probably end up. It does sound like he'll get moved.
Not the Colts, I hope.
Yeah, not the Colts.
Well, I mean, he could vacuum up targets, I reckon, but oh my gosh.
Hey, we just talked about the Rams could be making a move at tight end. Maybe he goes there.
Awesome.
That'd be real sick for this draft.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Especially for my staff. Yeah, my Stafford and Puka. I'll be down with that. Poor Tyler
One
Higbee.
question I wanted to get to about Keontae Mitchell. You know, I'm not as bullish on him. I think, 2 years ago before he got injured, he did a lot of work, but a lot's changed since then. They got Derrick Henry. Justice Hill has really shown himself well. And last year, Mitchell, I know he's coming back from an injury, but the only games he got work outside of, like, real work outside of special teams were the games that Hill missed. So, and in the playoffs, he just, like, wasn't used at all. So, he'll probably be the number 3 back. I mean, they have Rashawn Ali, who they drafted in the 5th, 6th round last year. And again, this is the tough thing about this draft class is so many of these guys, like we talked about, the Jordan James, the, Jarquez Hunters, they could replace some of these guys. So I'm not really taking Mitchell. I mean, I get the why. It's a top offense. If he gets on the field, he's going to score points. But yeah, I'm not taking a lot of them.
I haven't taken any Keaton Mitchell. I mean, there's a backdoor opportunity for a lot of running backs like that.
Yeah,
that are going to go undrafted. We brought up a guy like Curtis Samuel, who wasn't even drafted tonight, right? Could easily be scoring a touchdown through the first 3 weeks of next season because of the offense that he plays in. And there's obviously going to be a lot of volatility and change, but I see that running back room behind Derrick Henry. It's not wide open because I think Justice Hill has proved himself enough. But I think that the way that they're still dividing up touches, Henry scored a lot of touchdowns last year, but there was plenty of games where he was on the sideline for consecutive series, and they were really gapping out his touches. So there is an opportunity there because it's also an offense that passed the ball a ton last year. Lamar Jackson's best passing season. So I think there is a wide open opportunity still for someone to compete with Justice Hill, but they like him a lot. I think he is a much safer pick in the later rounds than Keaton Mitchell. I mean, you pay one more round for him?
Exactly. Exactly. And they re-signed Hill to a deal, not a ton, but
they extended him. They said, "Hey, you're not going anywhere for 2 years."
Exactly. They clearly said, "We like you." So
that's
my
but
thought.
I would definitely assume some competition still from the draft, like a 7th or a 6th round pick, or an undrafted rookie agent. It's going to happen. They're going to get somebody in there.
Yeah, and again, they took a running back last year in a much weaker class. Like I said, I think 25 plus backs could be selected this year. There's only 32 teams, maybe 1 or 2 double up, but pretty much every team's going to draft a running back.
And if they're comfortable with what they have in the passing game with Lamar, because you look at what he was able to do last year with really not that deep of weapons in the passing game. Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman starting to flash a little bit, right? But like nothing really significant from any of those guys. Like Zay put up some yards, but not a ton of touchdowns. Andrews didn't have a ton of catches or yards, but had a ton of touchdowns. Bateman, kind of same thing, middled catches and touchdowns. They could go for like a big weapon at running back still and really load up on the run game. Having Henry, having Lamar, having, a new fresh rookie coming in, whether it be a big body guy or, someone that's, flashy. Like I could absolutely see them drafting RJ Harvey.
Yeah.
Don't think it'll cost them a ton.
No, 100%. And look, I mean, he didn't see the field because of Gainwell last year, but Eagles spent a 4th rounder on Will Shipley when they just gave Saquon Barkley the bag. So no, Ravens know they want a good running game. And in the past, it was Dobbins and Edwards and stuff like that. And they're smart. They're not going to ignore the position.
Nope. Very good draft tonight, sir. Anything else to share before we head out?
Yeah, no. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And, we'll, of course, be back next week. And, this is filling up. I have a few more drafts to go. I think it's at 82%, something like that. So,
closing in.
Really excited to close out the big board, and then we get to the BBM, and that will be interesting, getting back to 18 rounds and knowing all these landing spots.
Yeah, getting the schedule board up, my bye weeks up.
Yeah,
I have like a whiteboard that I do that I have up like in front of me for every show, so that'll be there. That'll be nice. That'll be done, and get the draft going, get the NFL schedule. Where again, me and Andrew have been saying we're in like this just that lull period where we're just in the low of news, any NFL action, waiting on the draft. Yeah, we're hungry over here. But come back. We have more shows every day. Are you guys dropping a show tomorrow or no?
I don't think we'll have one tomorrow.
Okay. I thought you guys had something like pre-recorded, but okay.
Normally we do, but not this week.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, we'll be back next week. Full slate of fan speak and best ball action. Be sure to dial in. Take care. Be well. Be good, everybody. If you can't be good at it. We'll see you.